Hey everyone, it's Clint. It's time for a cell phone video. I'm featuring Jason Brubaker's Phobos here, not because it's about Phobos, but we're going to look at this wall. I make my points for this video. I could have done this on the computer, but a little variety never hurt anybody. I've also been drawing, so that's what's going on over here. Anyway, so what I want to talk about is Warren Ellis and sort of the larger problem with his situation. I got thinking about it a little bit. I thought, if you were Image Comics, or if you were a potential collaborator with Warren Ellis, when is it okay to say, hey, man, you have way too much baggage. It's not worth doing a book with you. I don't care who's right or wrong. The baggage and the noise is just too much for me. I just want to be working. It's not a hill I want to die on, man. Because I could see that scenario happening. At the same time, there's a difference between that and Warren Ellis must never work. We must be the ones making so much noise, right? That Warren Ellis won't get work because no one will work with him because it's just too much effort, right? There's a difference between those two scenarios. So I'm going to open this up to what happens to be a double page spread while we talk about it. My daughter read this book and she loved it. She also read Mighty Mascots and she loved it. Guys, I'm making a female comics fan. But you know the best part is these are just comics. They're not comics made for girls. And she loves them. So that's great. Anyway, so... Okay, so let's imagine for a moment that you are Ben Templesmith and you say, hey, Warren Ellis, I'm happy to do a book with you on one condition. And that condition is that it doesn't cost me more work. Does that make Ben Templesmith a bad person? Just that one thing? Does it make you a bad person if, let's say you hire a colorist, for example, and that colorist turns out to be always fighting with people on the internet or have a hate mob after the colorist, and maybe you're not, you don't want to get into it. It's just not worth it. Even if you disagree with the hate mob, is it okay to distance yourself or fire this person or cancel their book because of the public relations nightmare that you're sure to enter? So this is why, when I think about it in this perspective, I think it's not so much Image Comics not wanting to work with Warren Ellis, though I really wish that it was a hill that they would die on and that they would make some kind of a stand against cancel culture. But it's the people that are making enough noise to turn Warren Ellis's friends into enemies. So if you're out there seeking to make somebody so untouchable that people want to fire them because of the noise, you are a terrible person. That's what it comes down to. So ultimately, if you think about this sort of cycle, the people making the noise versus the companies and collaborators then listening to that noise and canceling business relationships. If you think about that sort of relationship between the two, the only way this stops is either the people making a noise decide to stop, which why would they? Especially when it's always a collective and there's always, let's assume that an activist gets bored and tired of it, they could decide that they're not going to make noise any longer, but somebody else is going to take their place and continue up where they left off, right? On the other hand, you could have a publisher or a collaborator that says, I hear the noise that you're making and I don't care. I'm still going to publish this book. That action seems a lot more likely, and it actually it only takes one decision maker there to essentially make the silence or the noise silent. It voids everything. All the people that are freaking out wanting someone to be canceled or fired suddenly don't matter, because the reason they're doing it is because they want to make some kind of public PR nightmare. Remember, they're toddlers. This is These are toddlers when you're trying to sit in church and be quiet, and they're going to be making loud noises because that's a method of trying to control the situation, because they know that you don't want to draw attention to yourself, right? This is what they are. They're toddlers. So suddenly they don't matter. And if that tactic stops working, the make noise tactic, they're going to move on and try something else. Now, I shudder at the thought as to what else they could possibly do, to actually make things worse than they are initially. But I'm sure that, they've found all sorts of terrible tactics. I'm sure they could find something else as a tactic, but why would they when right now it's so darn effective? Anyway, so here are essentially my thoughts on it. I think if you were brave enough to say, I'm going to work with this person, knowing ahead of time that there was the potential that there would be noise and possible public relations nightmares, if you went into it knowing that was going to be the case, you really should stick through with it. I think you make the decision if that's a hill you want to die on before you sign the contract or make that verbal agreement. Once you do that, you're committed. You need to stick with it. And this is like, if I think back at Dynamite Comics, for example, we're okay with signing a deal with Cecil to do a cover. They're okay with doing a deal with All Caps Comics. They're okay with those things up until the noise was too much, or really there was just noise. I wouldn't even agree that it was much noise at all. Once you sign that contract, you should stick with it. If you're going to make the decision ahead of time, like, hey, should I work with X person? This is a chopped off arm right here. Would you look at that? If you're going to work with, I'm considering working with this person X, okay? Before you make the announcement or anything, stop and think. Is this business relationship worth it? Is there a hill you want to die on? Here. If there's not, then maybe it's not the right collaborator. You should make that decision beforehand. Anyway, that I think is how I draw the distinction between the noise and the collaborators, publishers, anybody in an actual business relationship. But I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Downcast 3 has 3 days left to go. We're practically at $31,000. I'm hoping by the time this video is posted, we'll be over $31,000. But we're really close. We're in the final stretch of the first 30 days. I'm not going to lie. It seems like it went really quickly for me, especially because I've been so busy. But I am planning on extending it for 2 weeks, so don't stress out. I'm not going to go the full 3 weeks because I really want to get that money so that we can actually do everything, pay the printer, all that kind of stuff. In the meantime, the book we're polishing things up and we're working toward getting the print file ready to send to the printer. And of course, the reprint, Downcast Volume 1 and 2 reprint combined, that is already at the printer right now. Proofs are approved. Like it is in progress being printed. So far things have been going very, very well. I'm really excited about it. I think that you're going to love Downcast 3, especially if you've read Downcast 1 and 2. I don't know why you wouldn't want to read 3. It's great. So pick it up right now. I really appreciate the support. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.